week's champion trends feature Kayle, Lucian, Elise, Sivir, Dr. Mundo, and Taric. I'm Lindsay Geektron of Cloth 5, and this is LolKing's League Trends. Let's dive into Summoner's Rift. The increases in pick rate for this week were headed up by Dr. Mundo again with another 3.15% change, followed by Jinx, Kayle, Thresh, and Lulu, rounding out the top 5. Into the fray. This masked angel is making her splash on Summoner's Rift this week. During the Battle of the Atlantic, we saw players like Alex Ich and Overpow using Kayle with great success. During the early Season 3, Kayle was very popular, but following a chain of nerfs, she started to die out. So why is this divine creature on the increased picks list? It's most likely due to the pre-season mastery changes in the offensive tree. Kayle can utilize blade weaving and spell weaving like no other champion in the game. Her Righteous Fury counts both as an auto attack and a spell, so it procs both of the masteries. This allows her to quickly benefit from 3% increased damage. With Armor Pen and Magic Pen combined into the same mastery, Kayle has a much easier time picking up both, as she is a magic damage-based auto attacker. We will most likely continue to see Kayle hang around, but just be careful not to get baited by her intervention. Champions with the largest decrease in pick rate for the past week were led by Taric with a negative 6.82%, followed by Lee Sin, Fiddlesticks, Lucian, and Riven. The trend of Lucian's pick rate going down is most likely due to his recent nerfs to his Piercing Light. Its overall damage got reduced from ranks 2 to 5. Lucian was a lane bully and his early game damage was unmatched, but this change allows for other champions to have an easier time dealing with him in lane. Sometimes changes like this draws players away from picking a champion, but in Lucian's case, he is still a very strong pick. The Purifier will still have an easy time in lane against most matchups, and his passive will give him a favorable trade. We will continue to see him as a holy trinity of carries along with Jinx and Sivir. Next time you see Lucian on the Rift though, you should still run away from his culling. Following are the champs with the largest increase in win rate, and they are Garen leading with a 2.91% increase from last week, followed up by Heimerdinger, Anivia, Elise, and Trundle. Watch out for Cocoon, because if you get caught by this 8-legged girl, you will be dead in seconds. Elise has always been an incredibly strong pick ever since she was released. With the new vision changes in the preseason, Elise is increasingly dominating in the early game with her aggressive ganks. With junglers earning more money this season, champions like Elise can afford to buy a few damage items after their Spirit of the Ancient Golem. The most common items have been Sorcerer's Shoes and Haunting Guise. These items work wonders on Elise as she does percentage health magic damage with her Neurotoxin and Venomous Bite. The magic penetration from these items allows Elise to dish out extremely high burst damage. I hope you like spiders because she's going to weave her webs all over Summoner's Rift for a very long time. Our next top 5 champions are heading up the largest decrease in win rate for this past week. They are Sivir with a negative 3.61%, followed by Taric, Yorick, Fiddlesticks, and Zac. Sivir was hit a bit harder than Lucian in the last patch. Her first nerf was to her passive, Fleet of Foot. Now it scales up to 50 movement speed as she levels up instead of starting at 50. Riot also changed the duration of her spell shield from 3 seconds down to 1.5 seconds. This made the skill less forgiving as it gives Sivir a smaller window to stay protected. The last nerf was to her ultimate, On the Hunt. Now that she doesn't have to stop and yell to use it, it's become one of the strongest ultimates in the game. Overall, the duration of the ability is reduced in the early levels, but at max rank it has a 20 seconds less cooldown than before. This change makes her ultimate not overwhelming in the early game, but still provides enough utility to make her a strong pick. Champs with an increase in ban rate for this week are led up by Dr. Mundo with a 30.64% change, followed by Rengar, Elise, Shyvana, and Riven. The Doctor is in, as Dr. Mundo dominates the ban increase with 30.64%. With nearly 100% pick or ban rate in all event tournaments last week, it's not surprising to see Dr. Mundo's ban rate increase drastically this week. He is extremely hard to deal with in lane because of how much sustain he has from the defensive masteries. Once he gets a couple of his core items like Spirit Visage, he is nearly impossible to kill due to the mass health regen from his ultimate. By taking Teleport, Dr. Mundo can go anywhere he pleases even easier, and once he is in a fight, he will chase your baselines till the ends of the earth, or until they're dead, whichever comes first. There are only a few things that have been effective against Dr. Mundo: percent health damage and healing reduction. It would not be surprising to see some upcoming Dr. Mundo nerfs, as he simply has become an unstoppable force in this preseason patch. Finally, the decrease in ban rate this week are led up by Taric with 15.1%, followed by Lucian, Fiddlesticks, Nasus, and Fizz, rounding out our final top 5. It seems that every time this Gem Knight starts to shine, Riot hits him with a nerf bat. Overall, the nerf reduced a lot of his armor scaling, decreasing his damage and tanking abilities. His ban rate wasn't the only stat to plummet this week, his pick rate and win rate also dropped. With other champions like Karma and Leona becoming ever more popular, it's hard to see Taric still being a priority pick. The struggle is real for Taric. Being a melee support without a gap closer is really rough in this meta. Taric can get poked out of lane by supports like Lulu or Karma, even though he has built-in sustain. His burst only helps if you can actually reach your target, and against supports with slows like Karma and Lulu, it's nearly impossible for Taric to get close. For those of us who have played World of Warcraft armor of the 5th Age, Taric will always have a place in our hearts. And that's it for this week's show. Don't forget to enter into LolKing's holiday contest. Santo Gragas has some sweet gaming gear and a lot of RP to give away, and all you gotta do is have an account with LolKing to enter. It's way easy. And don't forget to sub to LolKing and Cloth5 on YouTube before you go. I'm Lindsay Geektron. Thanks for watching.